Lea Karam, welcome to A Coffee With ExchangeWire headquarters. I'm delighted to have you here for a conversation. I'm going to put it out there to start with you. You're not having a coffee because you've had several today, and also you probably need some rest given how busy you've been over the last few weeks.
Yeah, I think no one would be surprised that I'm not drinking anything because I need a nap or 3 naps after this. I was at several industry events in the past 3 to 4 weeks, but yeah, extremely exciting time at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, you've certainly been busy. We've known you from the podcast before, from when you were at Behave, and you've since started Mindscope. You've gone out by yourself, started a new agency. We're going to talk all about it. I want to hear your thoughts on the industry. I want to hear your aims for your new company, and yeah, tell me about your whirlwind few months since starting the new company.
Yeah, so essentially, obviously, we met a while ago, actually, at obviously a few events, but then when we spoke about, the future of the industry, the future of CTV, the future of Meta, we've come a long way from that, but some of our predictions have come true, actually, especially when we speak about AI and how we can integrate that with human intelligence. So it's great to connect here, and we obviously kept in touch because I try to keep a strong pulse on the industry, and that's one of the reasons why I've decided to set up Mindscope, because we're building 4 different labs. So the technology lab, the entertainment lab, the culture lab, and the commerce lab, to be able to build a stronger pulse on that industry, refresh the research, refresh the thinking, work with emerging brands, but top brands as well, to be able to help them in understanding those technological advancements and that cultural change. So that's one of the reasons why I've decided to set out on my own to build a brand new IP to tackle those challenges in real time. And yeah, here I am building a solution that's not even called Insights, it's called Foresight. And that's where the industry is moving towards. So yeah, very excited to speak about it.
Yeah, and like you say, I love that definition there between insights and foresights. Like we are, God knows where we are in the industry at the moment. Everything is all over the place. There is so much being spoken about AI. We are swimming in data that people are still struggling to know how to use properly. And yeah, I think the Foresights is a really interesting place to start. So what's your inspiration behind this? What's interesting you most in the industry at the moment?
I feel like, as you just said, a lot of people talk about, and a client of mine mentioned that yesterday as well, a lot of people say, oh, we've got a pulse on this, we're doing this, we simplified this, but not a lot of people walk that talk. And what I've done is showing up and I guess walking that talk, so I want to keep doing that. And I don't think you could get to foresight without being anchored within the industry. As some people might know, I always say I don't scan culture, I live within culture. So really having a pulse on different people, different industries, different businesses. The reason it's called foresight is because it's not enough at the moment to just have that data and that information and a small kind of grasp around your business. You have to really not just stay ahead, but simplify what's ahead. I feel like a lot of businesses at the moment are trying to maybe not copy, but look at what others are doing, and that noise, it becomes really overwhelming. People are lost within timelines, they're lost within DMs. So this is all about creating a focus. So foresight, for instance, if you were to work and apply it to a certain brand, you would get them within an environment that puts them in, I'd say, a control environment to understand their current business, their current challenges, forget about what's out there first and foremost, and then from that, understand how they can grow. And you can't really do that without having a strong pulse within the industry. I want my clients to kind of not forget about the industry, but think about them. And my job is to bring that to them, to filter out what I hear, what I speak about, what we develop, and then get them to just focus on their business. And that's why it's called foresight, because you can't really achieve it if you've got so much noise out there that is trying to kind of dominate the conversations. You focus on your business, your objectives, delighting your employees, your customers, building revenue, building like a circular economy. And my mission is to come to you and say, oh wait, this is something really interesting that you can integrate. So I want to make my clients' lives easier. And it's not enough to have data and information to do it. You've got to have a pulse that's stronger than insight, and a foresight that you can provide to them and help them with.
It's really exciting stuff. I love what you mentioned there about noise, because it's how I would define the industry at the moment. It's so incredibly noisy. I know you have as well. I've just come back from Cannes, which was
same.
wonderful, like great time, lots of interesting conversations, a lot of noise.
Extremely noisy. That was one of my feedback. So usually, I was really surprised and delighted by Cannes this year though, because as you know, I'm usually drawn to very, technical events, specialist events, things that actually sit outside of the industry that I can then bring in and not be influenced by that noise. But more and more you've seen me, I'm within that noise to be able to kind of filter things out from it. But I was surprised because, the Croisette was dominated by tech companies more than ever, by brand safety as well, like responsible marketing. So it was great because on one hand, we had so much going on. On the other hand, we had more tech, more innovation, more technicality, but then fed into that noise. So I feel like the mixed bag was, hey, you know what? It was more innovative than ever. It wasn't just bland noise. It was proper conversations, but also it was too much of those conversations. So I completely agree that's where our industry is moving towards, and everyone is lost within my DMs. Everyone is lost within my LinkedIn timeline. Everyone is lost. So I feel like we've got a mission as brand leaders at the moment, insight leaders, senior executives to filter out that noise and really help the industry to move forward. It's also filtering out that noise for the end consumer. That's why I work closer with brands so they can create better content online. It's not enough to target everyone and speak to everyone. Connect more diligently with your audiences to contribute to that reduction of noise on social. It's all very, very interlinked. And hopefully we can speak about that again next year, because I work tirelessly to kind of help brands understand how to connect, but also through my keynotes and industry events to kind of get them to focus on certain directions instead of trying to focus on every single direction. Otherwise, that creates the concept of safe anchoring. You end up redoing the same things because you're overrun by the noise. So yeah, I agree. There's a lot of noise out there at the moment.
Yeah, so you're trying to act as a pair of noise-cancelling headphones for
exactly.
the creative industry.
I've got some, ironically, they're right here, because I need them, so why not kind of put them within the world? Yeah, because again, as a behavioral scientist, my lenses are a bit different in the sense that change happens. Change has always happened. The only constant is change. We know that it's been accelerating at a faster pace than ever. That's true, but change has always happened. And I feel like taking on those learnings around human behavior, even simple frameworks, really help to understand what really matters and what won't matter in 5 years. So if I can bring that to the equation, then my job here is done,
Yeah, and another interesting point there is around human behavior. Obviously, like you said, behavioral scientist, this is where your passion lies, your experience lies.
Exactly.
As we enter maybe a less human world in terms of our agentic workflows, in terms of how AI is impacting creativity, how do you marry that kind of AI data wonderland with the impact that humans still need to have on the industry?
That's my favorite question ever, literally ever.
Thank you very much.
It's such a good question. Tech is one of the strongest human shifts. Technology is inherently a human shift, so it has to be studied with human lenses. I did this podcast recently about how culture eats technology for breakfast, because what's the point of technology if it's not designed for human outcomes? It's always been designed for human outcomes. So I work with AI. I've been known to bring AI to the behavioral science industry because there are some nuances with predictive AI, for example, that sit in the market to understand consumers that you can't get with your human eye. You could use predictive technologies to understand the nuances, the subcultures that sit on social media and grow them. So even at Cannes, I think you heard a lot about how it's about human intelligence and AI. What's AI without human empathy? Even non-behavioral scientists on my panel mentioned this before I mentioned it, and I was surprised, from journalists to programmatic leaders and tech leaders, they mentioned the importance of being empathetic and human-centric in the future. So they're going to work hand in hand, but again, a big mission of Mindscope within the technology lab is to share that, is to grow that, is to do a lot of research within that, but also translate it for the industry and equip leaders and teams with that understanding of human intelligence and human AI. They're going to work hand in hand, but I'm not going to sugarcoat it. There will be an impact on the industry for the next 2-3 years at least. It's not a negative impact. We used to have jobs where people used to kind of write on paper. They used to be paid to write things on paper. Things change, things evolve, but we're going to have to kind of work with universities on that, the school system on that, and because new jobs are going to emerge. Some jobs might need to be upskilled. But again, at the center, there's this human lens. What's the human benefit? What's the human outcome? And then we can design accordingly. I was just telling you about a journalist I know that wrote a gorgeous piece, and this can't be written by AI. What's the point of AI if everyone were to do the same thing? There's no differentiation, you know? You have to add that kind of layer of human insight and human empathy to it. So yeah, it's a question I need to kind of tap into more and more, and I'm tapping into it more and more, and that's why one of the reasons why I built Mindscope is because I kept getting that question as well, and I want to dive further into it. But I feel like, and you'll see it more and more, they're going to work hand in hand, and hopefully we'll have more task forces that are going to kind of look into it in more detail. But it's human AI at the end of the day. There's no point of kind of technological advancements and innovation if it's working kind of for AI and for technology and not with technology for our own benefit.
Exactly. I think that's a mistake that we're seeing Meta make at the moment. I mean, all the hyperbole Mark Zuckerberg's coming out with, like, I can give us a target audience and give us a budget and we'll do the rest for you. It's no good outcomes for humans there for me. It's not audience-centric, which is going to be a huge issue, and that's something obviously that you're trying to bake into what you're doing, is that 100%. Audience-centric approach.
100%, and you also lose out on so much reach. You can't do that. You lose out on the diversity and the beauty of people and what lies within. You lose out on the cultural ecosystem. You're gonna hear the word culture more and more. I mean, we started digging into culture as an industry ages ago, but now, because we used to have like punk music in the 1960s, 70s, it was a new movement and stuff, but now subcultures are growing more than ever. You've got your sound bath lovers from here, your true crime documentary kind of fans from here, you've got your 1989 Swifties or your folklore Swifties. You've got so many subcultures, so culture is at the essence of what consumers want. They don't want something bland and automated, kind of targeted at them. They want to be able to connect with brands, and that's why brands are becoming storytellers. So there are two tensions there. Brands are becoming entertainment hubs and storytellers and building that connection, and then there are other tech platforms that are trying to develop something a bit less human-centric, but that works way, way better. If you integrate this with this, then it could even work, it could be even better. So using technology to kind of automate processes, AI to do it, that's awesome, that's great. But when that happens, when mechanisms and automation become the hygiene factor in the industry, it's the human edge that then becomes a differentiator. So the brands that I'm working with, not to shoot their own horn or our own horn, but they're really standing out because they're able to kind of stand out from that sea of sameness in an industry that is trying to do the same thing.
Yeah, and that's going to be really important. I heard something really interesting at a conference in January, actually. I can't remember who said it, which is embarrassing.
Was it me? I'm joking.
It was not you, sadly.
Sadly.
It was a CMO for one of the major brands,
nice.
And he had said that there's kind of an 80-20 principle with AI at the moment, that he could ask it to make a media plan for him, and ChatGPT would spit out an 80% all right media plan, but it still needs that 20% of human oversight. I wonder whether 80-20 is a bit of an exaggeration. I still think that the split's a little bit more in the favour of human creativity. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a bit more in the favour of human creativity. The reason I'll say that is to the point I made earlier, the fact that society is moving at a very, very strong pace, but also consumers, especially the younger generations, so Gen Z, the future alphas as well, we started those predictions as well on Gen Alpha, they don't want to be spoken at. So if you were to just do that, then you'd miss out on the nuance of culture today, the nuance of kind of, because again, AI goes off precedent, right? It goes off, it's as good as the data and information it has. It has to be trained to be more diverse, more woman-centric as well, it's based off the society we all lived in, and that's not enough. You've got to really, really create a more ethical ecosystem. From a young woman point of view, and a young Lebanese woman as well, I'll say it, it is quite biased. AI is biased. We have to work tirelessly towards making it better. I'm working at the moment with a kind of female-led company on that topic as well. How can we make AI and technology more inclusive? There are big tech companies that are working on that at the moment too, which is amazing. It's not at the point where we can get an 80-20 just yet. No. There are so many human nuances, from diversity to that need for connection, that need for support, that need for real-time insights, real-time cultural pulse, and real-time cultural trends, pre-trends as well, to be able to get to that point. But again, it's quite different because there are different types of AI. You've got your agentic AI, that helps you to even as startups and startup leaders, sometimes we obviously use agentic for our own benefit because it's easier to kind of use that to automate processes. Then predictive AI, that's big data, that's research. It helps you cluster different teams, and then the likes of generative AI and ChatGPT and Gemini that create new data. I'd say generative has to be the most regulated one at this point because it creates new things, it creates new kind of content, it creates new pictures, deep fakes, etc. But agentic and predictive, they've got more human benefits than anything else because you could co-create with them. But generative has to be very much looked at and studied because you can't really use it to create legal documents, DNI documents, and all of that. I'm very not worried, that's not the word, but skeptical about using that to be able to create human-led strategies at an 80-20. I'd say maybe 50-50 or even more 40-60 to humans, the 60 to humans.
That's encouraging to me. I like hearing that.
And
I think it's so important. All right, Lea, I very much enjoyed my coffee. I know you haven't had one, but before we go...
Me too, clearly.
I know, several already. Before we go, what are your hopes for Mindscope as you kind of, I mean, you're a presence in the industry already, but as the business develops, what's next?
One obviously, I want to make sure that those labs intertwine. Culture, tech, entertainment, commerce, those are human-led industries. They're human-led marketing industries as well. Marketing is increasingly becoming tech. We've seen tech companies dominate the croisette, right? It's increasingly becoming entertainment, the sound systems we live in, the experience economy is booming. Culture, you can really tap into consumer landscapes at the moment without having a real pulse of culture. It doesn't mean jumping on culture, it means understanding your cultural North Star, so you can own this. And obviously when we speak about commerce, our industry, all of that has influenced the way people purchase, people search for information, the growth of retail media networks. So I want to make sure that we become the human compass that the industry can go to whenever they're worried, whenever it's noisy, whenever they're lost, to kind of understand with a real behavioral science and human lens where the world is moving towards. So that's the first thing, be those human compass across those industries and the intersection of them. And the second one is obviously work quite globally. The world is more intertwined than ever. I mean, I'll obviously use my Arabic and French a bit more, but grow that within other markets, bring it to potentially France, the US, and the Middle East, collaborate more with leaders across the globe, because I know there are so many conversations that are happening in silo in different markets. So just be a kind of brand like I am as the founder and leader of that brand, quite international, so bring that international lens to it as well, hopefully, so we could get people to speak to each other, like I'm getting tech and broadcast to speak to each other now. I'm getting some markets to speak to each other. Maybe I'm here to just get people to speak to each other, which is half of the job. So
it is.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, I wish you the very best of luck with it all. It's always fascinating to chat. Always a real pleasure. And just keep us posted with what you're doing. But thank you for chatting and for joining me and watching me drink a coffee.
Thank you for having me. That was a pleasure, honestly.
No worries. Okay. Thank you. And thank you all for watching.